Okay, for number 1A, what happened to all these people? When machines took away jobs from people, they were forced to adapt. New jobs formed as a result of machinery, i.e., you had to run the factories producing machines, engineers had to design them. Is because of those reasons that most US males are not employed as farmers, other jobs exist. For part B, most American workers are not living and learning by fixing farm equipment. Instead of doing other jobs, society has become more complex. For example, there's supermarkets, fast foods, computers, etc. All these have brought new jobs with them. Number two, the phrase described as a scenario which a central bank acts too forcefully or either to stimulate or slow down the economy, like a fuel trying to change the shower to trying to change the temperature. The notion that is that changes or policies designed to alter the entire course of the economy should be done slowly, not all at once. For number three, the total a fraction of people living in deep poverty has fallen over time. Modern day people live comfortably. Not nearly everyone is poor like 1,000 years ago. This is largely due to the modern government, along with modern technology. Things like electricity, grocery stores, modern medicine, etc., has reduced the amount of people dying from disease and from starvation, etc. Thanks to these modern conveniences, many people are better off, especially due to the free market capitalism. However, due to growth in population, deep poverty is skyrocketed in places that have underdeveloped economies. For number four, ending hyperinflation in some ways leading to £100 each, but easier on paper, easier said than done. So like due to hyperinflation, let's alter, such as altering the currency basis, not overprinting money seems easier, but it's much harder. Just like planning a diet and working out is harder than it seems. So the key is to stay disciplined and stick to the plan. For number 5A, the opportunity cost is repairing 2 fuel injectors. For part B, the opportunity cost is responding to 800 emails. For part C, the opportunity cost is 2.5 articles this year. And part 6A, for the absolute advantage for high quality cars is north, and for low quality cars is also north. For part B, for the high quality cars, north 1.5 low quality cars, opportunity cost for the south is 2 low quality cars, for low quality cars for the north, for the low quality cars, north is 2/3 of a high quality car, south is 1/2 of the high quality car. The region with the comparative advantage for high quality cars is the north, and it's the south actually for the comparative advantage for low quality cars. For part C, we can clearly see in the graph the output of high quality cars for the north, south, and the total, and the output of the low quality cars, the north, south, and the total. And you can do the same thing for part D. However, we obviously see the specialization here. The global output of high quality cars is the same after specialization, but for low quality cars, it's actually higher than before. For number 7, part A, in the example stated above, miso soup has the absolute advantage. Today only takes 15 minutes to make the soup, which is less than 30 minutes it'll take kana. In regards to the comparative advantage, Mitchell's the cleaning kitchen is comparative advantage, while miso still fits the time frame kana. It's not very efficient as it takes an extra 15 minutes. Part B, in this example, Sienna has both the absolute and comparative advantages. She's doing better than Ethan both baking cookies and laying drywall for rooms. She's baking additional 80 cookies per hour, also being able to lay drywall for additional room in comparison to Ethan. For part C, in this case, Kara has the absolute and comparative advantage when it comes to building glass sculptures, while Sarah has the absolute and comparative advantage when it comes to design of full-page newspaper ads. Part D, and finally, in this example, Data has the absolute and comparative advantage as he's doing better than Record in writing excellent poems and solving difficult problems, doing 11 more excellent poems and 99.5 more physics problems than Record does in one day in the same time frame. For number 8, there will always be a number of people in the U.S. that need jobs and as such looking for work. Business owners need workers in order to produce goods and services. As such, they need to keep locations in the U.S. open as a lead to greater amount of production and therefore greater profits. For part 9, for 9A, in order to give the U.S. a comparative advantage when it comes to the production of airplanes, empty cells need to be filled that is greater than 5. 6 is an example. For South Korea, they only need empty cell needs a number less than 5. 4 can be just as an example. For part B, from the table above, it can be seen the U.S. is the absolute advantage when it comes to the production of airplanes, which is not necessarily the case of the production of autos, as lack of specific data that would allow us to make that determination. For part C, it's 2000. For number 10, we clearly see this graph. For part A, if the endpoints of the PPF are plotted, it shows that the maximum number of computers is 26 and the maximum number of shirts is 36. If both countries produce computers, it produce 26 computers and only shirts rather, then it would be 36 shirts. And for part B, if the citizens of the US and Mexico decided they wanted more shirts than these shirts would be produced in Mexico because Mexico has a comparative advantage. Therefore, the US Trade Alliance initially moves from point A, the PPF should concave towards shirt production away from computer production. C, if the citizens of the US and Mexico decide they wanted more computers, these computers produce more in the US because they have a comparative advantage. The PPF would concord toward the origin production companies away from the production of shirts. At point B, 24 computers in the US, 12 shirts Mexico are produced when each country specializes. Now part E, you clearly see in the graph. And now for part F, as more and more countries join the Trade Alliance, the US will produce more and more computers while others make shirts. With infinite countries, everyone would produce its own comparative advantage product and expand their own PPF. In trade, obviously. For number 11A is a good idea for the US because it only costs them 1 shirt to make a computer. If it exchanges 1 shirt for 3 shirts, it's a good deal. Each shirt costs the US 1 computer. If they were to produce shirts for themselves, they trade 1/3 computer. For part B, the trade of 1 computer for 8 shirts is beneficial to the US and Mexico. Instead, only beneficial to the US. So they produce 8 shirts, 1 computer. Better Mexico did it themselves, a higher computer. For part C, maximum number of shirts that you can trade for the US and Mexico benefit them trade is 6, and the minimum number of shirts is 2.